Koudelka.com. I got a $20 donation here from our friend Mel that says bongo blobbing so hard right now. Excuse me, so hard RN. Make sure to do that properly next time. Thank you for that $20 donation, my friend. And with that wonderful time of me filling the dead air here, we are ready. This is Koudelka Any Percent by Reverv. Take it away, my friend.
Hello, everyone. My name is Reverv. This is Koudelka, a lovely game. With me on commentary is my good friend Roaming Merc, who helped me route this game and get it to what it is today. Roaming, want to say hi?
Hello, I'm Roaming Merc. Yeah, and he pretty much hit it. I'm not really a runner of the game, but I do like a lot of the technical know-how and research whenever Rev has a question like, I wonder what this works. And
How does this work?
Yeah, just do some
Rome is my
digging
man.
on for him. Yeah.
Yep.
So I learned, and I know quite a bit about the run, but yeah, anyway.
So with that, I think we should just get ourselves going. So we got a lot to talk about in this run. So let's, if we are ready on the RPG Limit Break side, I can give you a countdown and we can go. And let's hit that in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so we're going to jump right into this game with a lovely cutscene that unfortunately we are skipping. We are going to be skipping every cutscene in this game.
Yeah. Fortunately for the speed run, we can skip them, but unfortunately because they're pretty wonderful with the voice acting and the CGI quality. But yeah, this first fight's pretty straightforward. Just gonna shoot him with the pistol 3 to 4 times and just hope we get it to 3. But
nice little tutorial boss, not too difficult, but a little bit of RNG as we set out. I'm getting very high damage rolls. We'll kind of get into the damage roll issues later on in this run. They vary a lot. And in the early game, it can be a little detrimental, but we're going to do our best to work around that.
Yep. And we're going to be providing some content warnings because there are a few disturbing elements that would be considered. We'll bring them up whenever they are approaching. So.
Yep, around an hour into the run, we're going to have a couple of violent scenes, and there's some stuff that we will give plenty of warning about. If you are sensitive to any of that, we want to make sure you have fair notice and can look away if you need.
So yeah, right off the bat, after our first boss battle, we have our second party member, Edward. He's going to be fulfilling kind of the tanky role and physical damage for melee and ranged weapons. But
yeah, so unfortunately, we've skipped already 2 cutscenes that have provided some backstory to this game. Right now, it kind of looks like we're just some random person running around a mansion, which we are. But we're here for a reason. Rome, do you want to get started on some of the story?
Yeah, sure. So it's kind of all 3 of these of our party members get brought to this monastery either by coincidence for one of our party members, but the other 2 have been brought here through like a psychic connection means where they've got this gut feeling on to follow their instinct and be brought to this monastery. So Koudelka here is our protagonist, which will be our main mage and damage dealer. She was brought here by some unknown force. So going to be running around this mansion trying to figure out why
we're here. We're going to be picking up some random weapons and some random blocks of cheese that we'll be throwing at each other to heal. And other goodies along the way.
Yeah, so the weapons that we pick up will have random rolled elements. So I believe they're 8 or 9, but
9.
We're looking for
counts as an element.
Yeah. Oh, normal.
So,
yeah.
This is a big reset part of the run, and if you don't get great weapons, you can literally just be completely out of luck and have to deal with the worst case scenario. And we actually got the worst case scenario here, which is
really bad.
Fine. We've been practicing for it, so
yes.
It makes this run interesting at least.
Yeah. Rev's been practicing with normal knife strats, which is very bad, but
thankfully you always start with a normal knife, and we can make do with that.
So yeah, Mystic is awful because it doesn't do any damage.
MP absorb?
Yes, it does MP absorb, and it's not even that much. And the other one is light, which is healing. So if you attack the enemy, you'll heal, and nothing is susceptible to light in this none of the bosses are weak to it. You would think, oh, light, fight these demons.
A lot of demons. Nope.
It heals them.
Not so much. So to get into what this game is, it's a RPG, it's a tactics game, it's a survival horror, it's a little bit of everything. For those of you who have never heard of this game, which was me up until a couple of years ago, this is a prequel to the Shadow Hearts series on the PlayStation 2, which is a fantastic series. If you've never played, I cannot recommend them enough. This game came out a couple of years before then, and it is a direct, well, this was the first game, so Shadow Hearts is a direct sequel to this, involving some of the characters in a couple different ways, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But the playstyle is entirely different from a traditional JRPG.
Oh, it's very different. Yeah, it's similar to like the Final Fantasy Tactics, but there's sort of this like battle line where you cannot progress past the point that the enemy's squares take up. So you can see that this enemy is kind of in the far back, the back two slots essentially of the battlefield. But for any enemies that can move forward, you cannot move past that enemy. And there can become certain times where a party member will be dead on the front lines, and the enemy.
Let's hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, and the enemy will just walk right over their corpse, and then you cannot get to that party member, and they are out for the rest of the fight. But yeah, this is a fairly straightforward. We're just going to have Edward run up and attack with a knife while Reverv tracks HP on a calculator, make sure we're in decent range to finish it off without going under. But Koudelka's going to be using Flare as it's weak to fire. If we ended up with a fire melee weapon, we would be having Edward use one of those two.
Yep, so unfortunately with our backup strats, this fight is a little bit slower than we would like to see. Normally we'd like to have a fire pipe and be able to do, somewhere around 500 damage per hit, but unfortunately we're stuck doing about 70 damage per hit.
Yeah.
But we got the kill regardless, losing only, a minute and a half here. The problem is going to be the upcoming fights, because as you would expect with elemental damage on weapons, certain enemies have certain elemental weaknesses. And the second boss of the game is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, so here's the level up screen as well. We're going to be focusing, as I mentioned before, certain stats. We kind of want to pump up agility as much as we can early on, because there's a few boss fights we need to essentially have an agility floor. Like we need to have a baseline of agility before we get to them, otherwise they just get outsped and it just goes really south.
Yep, so we just ended up picking up our third party member, a priest named James, who at this point hasn't said much. He was kind of being attacked by that evil plant, and we have rescued him. So we're going to be learning a lot more about him later, but we'll be skipping all of that and just kind of telling you about that as it happens.
Yeah, and we're going to make a little detour here to pick up some Panacea. Sometimes we call them pancakes. Apologize if we just call them pancakes. But yeah, Panacea will get rid of some status effects that in case Koudelka gets silenced, we can remedy that. It is a random drop from the first fight. We could get some Panaceas from that werewolf, but we're just going to make this detour.
Usually we don't.
Extras.
So it's another big reset point in the actual speedrun. If you don't get a Panacea drop, you have to cross your fingers and hope you do not get silenced on, I believe it's the third boss. But we're just going to make this detour and deal with that anyways. As Rome was mentioning, this game is very interesting because when you level up, you get to decide where your stat points go. So you can really customize the characters to be whatever you want them to be. Because of that, we can focus on magic with our leader Koudelka here. And for Edward, who is our first party member, we can focus on strength and survivability. So he'll be our main tank. And then our third party member, James, is kind of the middleman of all the above.
Yeah,
we get him last, so he loses out on some experience. And
he's kind of the utility / backup magic damage. Eventually he'll kind of catch up, but yeah, starting out he's just mainly utility and just passing his turn over and over, unfortunately. But
yep. And because you get him so late, he doesn't get the first couple of levels that we get for everyone else. And he just starts with slightly lower stats, and we'll be giving him slightly worse weapons, so he's kind of the joke of the run for a little bit, but he will have his turn, I promise you.
Yep.
So we've gotten to a couple of random battles right now. They do seem very random, but there's actually a cadence to them. We've been working a lot on figuring out how they work and when they happen, and it's a bit of a step route, not quite, but it's not too far off from it.
It's so unlike if anybody's familiar with the Final Fantasy 7 and 8 games, where you have this step count that sort of is determined by each screen and how much time you spend and whatnot. This one is basically whenever you're considered moving. For 18 seconds, it will then proc an encounter. So even if you're running up against a wall, the game will still be considered as you moving. If you're trying to fidget your way to try and figure out where this step is to try and climb it, it's considered movement as well. So having smooth movement will help out, cut out a lot of encounters. But if you kind of, fumble around and miss some steps, then they can sneak up on you.
And if you're playing this game casually, you will fumble around a lot. I might make it look pretty simple, but the controls are awful in this game. To go downstairs, you have to be at the dead center of the stairs, walk up to them, and hit X, so you actually go down the stairs. If you are not perfectly lined up, you will not go down the stairs. It's a great system,
Koudelka will
honestly.
she'll just stand there and go, "What do you need me to do? I'm not moving anywhere."
The most common
yes.
phrase in this game is Koudelka, please. As in, Koudelka, please go down the stairs.
So yeah, here's the next boss. It's going to be a secret trio fight. All of them are resistant as well as weak to a specific element. Their colored crystals will determine what they are weak to. Blue is resistant to water and is weak to fire. Green is weak to earth, resists air. And red is weak to fire, weak to water and resists fire. And the red one actually has a little bit, quite a bit more health than the blue and the green ones. So we typically want to take out the blue and green first because they also buff the red one who sits in the back and just spam spells.
Yep. So we're looking for a couple things on this fight. The one interesting thing about this game is in boss battles, there's a couple of variances as to what spells the enemy will do to you, but as far as who they hit and when, it's entirely deterministic. So I know all of their first attacks are going to be on Koudelka, their second attacks are going to be on Edward, their third on James, and it's going to rotate around like that for a little while. So I can play this fairly safely to make sure I have everyone healed up at the right times when they need to be. I'm looking for a couple benchmarks here to see how this fight is going to go. The thing we do not want is to have these Seekers give MP to the red one. If they end up giving him 90 MP, he will do his super move, which is close to deadly. It's possible to survive it, and it's just not a fun time, so I'm hoping to kill these gems as fast as humanly possible.
Yeah, it's not great, but...
You may have noticed that Koudelka got knocked back with some of the attacks, and one of the gems got knocked back with Edward's first attack. Since you can't go behind the furthest up party member, you have to kind of just deal with the knockbacks as they happen. You can't quite reach the ones you want to reach, which is dangerous in a multi-enemy fight, but we use that to our advantage towards the end because we will make Edward a very strong tank with just an insane amount of health, and he will just stand in front and no one will be able to reach Koudelka or James, and we'll be entirely safe for most of the run.
He's going to be our literal meat shield, just sitting there and tanking damage. But
Which is
as
great.
As Reverv mentioned, the knockback can also be a hindrance, as the spells will do more. So spells can actually do more damage the closer you are to the enemy as well. So once you're close to the front lines, you can kind of risk, oh, they're not going to attack me, I can take my time to cast a spell, so you can increase the damage rolls. And vice versa, if you're standing far away, it's going to be doing less damage for spells. But that's not true for bullets. So Koudelka
bullets
sit in the
act
far
is
corner.
kind
just
of a weird one. Actually,
Yeah.
I am going to... So we do start off, every character, you learn a new spell on every fight for the first, 8 or so fights. But we do start with Fortify spells, so you can buff yourself and give yourself a little more stats. You can also cast them on the enemy to reduce their stats. And since the red guy back there has just an obscene amount of health, he has about 1200, something like that, and the other gems have about 600. Since I can't really hit him at this point, we cast Vitality down on him, which ends up dealing about 300 damage. His max health is lowered from 1156 to around 840, I think, is something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds about right. Because
so we get a little bit of use out of the useless characters.
Yeah, that Vitality down, it's scale. The more you use it, it's going to have less effectiveness because the way the stats kind of work in this game.
It's a bit exponential.
Yeah, it grows exponentially, but the more you degrade something, the less effective it's going to be. But it's also really great casually. If you're having a hard time with combat in this game, you can fortify yourself with strength. You can fortify strength on the enemy, which will lower it, or agility, whatever you need to. You can just kind of play the slow game if you really need to.
And the combat in this game is very tricky to understand. The best way I describe it is if anyone has played Final Fantasy Tactics, you have what's known as your CT, which is your kind of your ATB bar that tells you when you get to act next. If you don't take an action, instead of going to 0, goes to 20, and if you don't move, same thing. So if you don't move and don't act, your ATB fills faster. So a lot of this early game is routed about not moving, letting them come to you so they're slower, and really fine-tuning the agility on yourself and the enemy to make sure that you're in the best position possible.
Yep. And that's a pretty good secret trio for having awful weapons.
That was the best of the worst case scenario, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So right now we're going to try to make James a little more useful. He's entirely useless at this point. He doesn't even have a weapon, but we're going to give him the pistol that we've been using for other purposes. And we're going to be nice to him and reload it. Unfortunately, you do have to reload your weapons in this game if you have used them too much. I am going to just be extra cautious here and heal Edward. And I don't need to save here.
Something else is that the gear that you pick up, so the weapons, will have a slightly varying stat bonuses as well. They generally favor, depending on the weapon type, what they're going to be increasing, like strength and dexterity. But there is some sort of variance in there as well, so it's not always the same.
And one thing we should note, one of the fun things about routing this game is we still to this day don't have a full understanding of how the stats work. There are a couple of things that don't make sense. And we kind of just assume on a lot of stuff. It seems to be, I don't know, you raise dex, it kind of does more damage in some scenarios, but not always.
And there's a question in chat asking if weapons break, and they do. If you use melee weapons too much, they can break. So you can have, a really great fire pipe or something, and if you use it too much, it'll reach a durability point and it'll break, and that's gone forever.
Yes, I think the normal weapons have they have a chance to break after the first 15 hits, and then usually they will break for sure by 30. There's a couple weapons that the range is 50 to 150, and the super weapons in the game, they break as well. I think they're a range of 75 to 250.
They're really high, but yeah, it's...
Casually, you will break your weapon, and you will be without a weapon, and you'll be punching things with Edward before you know it.
Yep. Yeah, sometimes it's best just to not give Edward a weapon and just let him punch things casually if you need to.
The good thing is you can level up your experience with weapons, and you can get more proficient at punching, so eventually instead of doing 1 punch, you do 3. And you actually do decent damage with it, but it takes a lot of smacking to get. You may have noticed this boss did an attack on Koudelka, which she always does, and it did cause a silence, which is why we get that item to cure silence. If I were to go up and hit her, it would be about 70 damage. But at this point in the run, we're starting to get some accessories, and we're starting to pump up Koudelka's stats a little bit. So she's doing some serious magic damage at this point, so we want to keep her rolling as much as possible.
Yep. I'm going to give her more int and more agility, just so she can keep up and keep blasting, be the glass cannon of the party.
Exactly. So we are going to make sure we pick up this ladder. We're starting to get into the Resident Evil-like survival horror puzzle-solving portion of the game, which is the majority of the game. You end up having to pick up an item so that you can open a door, which lets you use a key, which lets you advance to the next room, which lets you solve a puzzle later on in the game type of system going on here. So
it heavily inspires from games like Resident Evil, where you do a lot of backtracking for little bits and pieces once things open up more.
So there's a lot
we
of
will...
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, we will be using a lot of magic late game. Like, eventually weapons taper off, they become less effective, and we're just going to be having Koudelka be our main source of damage pretty much the entire game.
The entire run, yeah. Thankfully, magic never goes out of style, and once you get a certain amount of, gosh, I don't even know what increases your MP. I think it's int just does increase your MP as well.
I think it's mind.
She will have.
I think mind increases it.
Is it mind? Okay.
I believe it's mind.
I don't think you're right, because I have not given her a single bit of mind, and she. Oh, that's actually not true. She gets the ring, so maybe I do have more because of that. I won't argue with you.
Either
You
one.
probably know it better
It
than
could
I
be
do,
a
to be honest.
mixture of both, but
So the
Oh,
good thing
piety.
and the bad thing about the speedrun is we're just doing boss after boss after boss. We are hitting boss room and making sure we're on the right thing at all times. So here we find some ghosts of us. We're starting to get some supernatural things going on. Other than the random encounters that we've come across in this game, it's not a whole lot of supernatural going on. But we're walking around this dungeon that we're here into for some reason that we don't quite understand. And things are starting to get spooky. The cutscene that we actually just skipped, we meet a ghost girl for the first time who tries to knock us down the hole in the floor that we crawled down. She's not our friend. And we don't quite understand why the spirits are so angry with this building. Something nefarious is going on here, and hopefully we'll get to the bottom of it.
yeah, we have a correction from the chat. It is piety that increases magic defense and MP, and then mind is accuracy, of course. But
Turns out you actually don't need to know a whole lot about the video game you're playing to be fast at it.
yeah,
Somehow you get MP and you just kind of roll with it. Yeah.
Yep. I think it's like on one of the accessories or something. We'll probably get some piety.
Yeah.
Just like, yep.
We do get
You're good
a
to go.
couple accessories, and we'll talk more about the armor drops that we get and the item drops. Other than a couple things that we pick up, you are not given a lot in this game.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. For an RPG, there isn't like a shop or a town where you can pick up items and buy and regroup. It's all just this big dungeon of this monastery, and you gotta find your drops where you can get them from bosses, from random enemies, and there's no. You can go through the entire game without picking up a single armor.
Nope. I think I went through my entire first casual playthrough without having a piece of armor on any of the party members. Turns out it only drops from one specific enemy that you can find a couple different versions of in a couple different places, but if you're not trying for it, you will not find it. Okay, so I'm going to focus on this fight just a little bit.
Yep, go for it. Yeah, we're just gonna be basically just hammering away with Edward with the best he can with his normal knife, and since we don't have any backup weapons really, we could see a knife break, but if we do, whatever.
Thankfully,
We'll just keep
we're
rolling.
right about that range. Coming up in the next couple of hits, we'll be at 15. And in a lot of practice, I have never broken a pipe, which I'm saying now because I want that marathon luck. Give it to me.
Yeah, we got to see it one day.
Thankfully, this is the last fight we actually need any physical weapon of any kind that we don't pick up. So we can get through this fight without a weapon breaking. We are entirely golden. We're back on the normal route. We will be set.
Yep.
I should have checked Edward's health. How's he doing? He's fine. He's doing great. So he's already acting as our tank at this point. He's just eating punches from ghosts left and right. And he's doing a great job with it, so...
Yep.
No complaints on
And
my
yep,
end.
that's another doppelganger's down, or not another doppelgangers, but doppelganger's boss down. And we're actually gonna reach the end of disc 1 here in just over 20 minutes. You
So
may
I know
be
you're
thinking,
saying
how many
end
discs?
of disc 1 in 20 minutes? What?
What?
This, actually, I'm going to focus for a second as I do the disc flop. You can explain why this is a 4-disc game, but an hour and
Sure.
25-minute record.
Yep, this is as Reverv mentioned, it's a 4-disc game that is completely packed with CGI and voice acting for the PlayStation era. So it is completely loaded as much as it possibly can. As you can see, there's CGs here with voice acting that we're going to be skipping, but it has a
We'll see
whole
one
lot
at
of
the end, I promise.
yeah, we'll see one at the end, but it's it's quite packed with just raw audio and visuals, but the actual gameplay is very quick if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, it's one of those games that the first time you play it casually, it's very strange, and it's very awkward, and you're like, oh, this is kind of goofy, I don't know if I like it, but it will grow on you. It's actually really impressive for the time, what they were able to do, especially knowing the team and how fresh they were. They didn't know a whole lot about making video games, but they did an amazing job on this one.
Yeah, the director, correct me if I'm wrong, the director was actually a composer, right?
Correct, yes. He was a composer for Square, and he wanted to make video games, and they wouldn't let him. And he said, you know what, I'm just going to go make my own video game.
Make my own company and start it. And there's actually a very good documentary that just was released by the Gaming Muse that covers Saknoth, which is the developers of this game, as well as just Koudelka's history. Highly recommend looking at the documentary. It's really good.
And for fans of the series, if you played Shadow Hearts, you've probably seen that they did start a Kickstarter for a new game. It's not in the Shadow Hearts world, but it's similar in style. If you haven't played Shadow Hearts, I would absolutely recommend playing it. It's a fantastic series. This game goes great with it, but it's very different in style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a common enemy that's treated kind of like a boss. We have to do this. But basically, we're just going to spam flare with Koudelka, and something Reverv did, he's going to equip the Tabar with Edward, because Edward's not going to really do a whole lot, and the Tabar actually lowers his agility, so we don't get his just turn as much.
It also gives him a massive amount of health, too.
Yes, yeah.
So since I get that Tabar as a weapon drop, it's guaranteed, so I no longer have to worry about what weapon I randomly get, and I don't even care about the elements, since I'm not going to be attacking with it, so
nope.
We're good to go there.
Yep,
one fun thing that Rome
weapons.
did mention, oh sorry, I'm going to talk over you for a second. One fun thing that he mentioned is this game was made by a composer, and if you've been listening, you've probably heard 2 songs so far. Get used to those, because those are the 2 songs that you will be hearing for 99% of this game.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty incredible.
About 4 songs in the entire game, even though it was made by a composer. They didn't have room to fit more songs.
Yep, gotta make room for all the voices and cutscenes. And yeah, just had to trim it down to a couple songs, but they're great. You get used to them.
All right, we're doing one more safety save. We got one more slightly dangerous boss coming up that we have to worry about. And I did get the encounter that I was looking for in the right spot, so we can talk about that for a second.
Sure.
Oh, feel free.
Oh, yeah. Based off of Reverv's movement, he can try and get skip encounters. Looks like we were off the track a little bit and didn't get the encounter skip right.
No, we did get it. Since it is deterministic, it's similar to a step count. If you get the encounter there, I know where the next encounter is going to be. And because of the way this game works, you actually can't get encounters in a boss room. So the game, instead of just stopping the encounter check system, says, well, no encounter, let's just reset. So we'll be using that to our advantage to skip the next encounter checks in a couple different spots going forward if we get the right setups at the right time.
Yeah, sorry, I had backwards in my mind. I was like,
yeah,
a little tired. But yeah, we have this,
this is a
kind
very
of scary boss.
Dangerous fight. Yep, we're gonna cross our fingers and hope he doesn't do that move that he just did.
Yeah, that can just delete Edward if he's low.
He's okay-ish unless he gets hit with that same spell once again, which he might.
Yeah, so
which is why we save.
This boss, what we call the Mad Fly. We want to make sure he doesn't do that rapid fire hit move, because yeah, that'll delete Edward's HP very quickly. But
yep. So
we
he's
do
gonna
some
do another
backup
attack.
cheese.
And, we don't have time to cheese him, unfortunately.
Oh, no cheese? Okay.
No, so we gotta get these fortify insoffs, so we're kind of just at the mercy. We did make a save, so if I end up dying, I can reload. We're just gonna cross our fingers that we get 3 out of the 4 possible next attacks, and not that same attack again. Let's find out together.
Yeah.
I won't spoil it for you because I'm a little bit ahead.
Yeah, you're good.
So he did the nicer melee attack. He could also hit Edward again here. Nope, he's hitting James, which is what we want. We are totally okay. He could have done that attack again that hits 4 times instead of the one that hits once. I don't know why he chooses to hit once when he can just hit us 4 times, but we thank him for it. We'll toss him some health just to be on the safe side. Actually, I don't know if this is enough health for him. Let's see.
Yeah, we'll see.
You kind of just
yeah, we
deal
do
with
want
it
to.
if you die.
Yeah, we do want to make sure all the party members are alive as well. Oh, yep.
I can. No, we're just gonna go lower experience run. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I was just gonna mention that it's nice to have Edward alive so he gets the experience. But unfortunately, going to be missing out on this boss experience. But
We'll
the
make it
upcoming
up
farming
elsewhere.
section, he might be able to catch up, but yeah, we'll see. Yeah, that can be a scary fight. Yeah, as Reverv mentioned, you can just delete
Yeah,
Edward
there's-
in a couple turns and then just pick the other two one after the other.
Literally nothing you can do about it. So right now I'm going to do a little bit of wiggling back and forth for seemingly no reason. This is just to skip the encounter check that is coming up. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That was a little short. Didn't mean to go out. I meant to do that 14th one. Let's do that. Okay, cool.
Just
Let's
a
see if
little
this
bit.
worked. So if we did this right, we won't get an encounter leaving this room, which we did not. And we
Nice.
will get the encounter in the next room, where we actually need to farm for a piece of armor that we mentioned earlier. Koudelka has gotten no vitality upgrades to this point. She is still at about 300 max health. And there's going to be a section of the game where it's her one-on-one against an enemy that likes to walk up and punch you in the face, so we need some health. But we do not want to spend a bunch of levels getting her to a safe range, so if we can just get a suit of armor, that would be good
Yep.
enough, right?
That would be wonderful.
Shouldn't be a problem.
And we're just going to pick up a couple items here. The bow gun's going to be really helpful to replace whatever Edward has equipped, which is
The Tabar
Very good.
element, which, yeah.
yeah.
So we're coming up into this room, and the way that enemies work is each room has a certain table of enemies that it can pull from. And the enemy that drops the armor in this game is a suit of armor, as you'd expect. So we are going to be fighting here for a while, and we're going to try to either get the levels we need to make up the health naturally, or get a suit of armor drop. We are at the mercy of this game at this point.
Yep.
So this is a great time for any donations or any anything you want to jump in with.
Anything I want to jump in with? That's the
Anything.
real question. I'm a
Use your
really big
imagination.
fan of normal knife for some reason. I
Normal
don't know
knife.
why. Normal
It gets the
knife. I
job
don't know
done.
if there's any games that we could like bid on naming something, but if any game can fit normal knife as a whole name,
knife.
it's getting my money.
Yep.
Anyways, we do have a $50 donation here from our friend Deniable Credibility, a fantastic name, and their message was, "Thanks in advance for keeping me company during my long and lonely night shifts this week. I always love a good marathon, and the longer RPG speedruns are always good fun. The fact that it's for a great cause that is already near and dear to my heart is the delicious cherry on top." So thank you for that $50 donation. I am also a night shift worker normally, so these marathons are my absolute favorite for making those slow nights go a little faster.
Absolutely.
We actually, wow, look at that. A $1 donation from our friend Gug, who simply says, Gug.
Gug.
Goog.
Gug is an upcoming boss in this game, and he is our buddy. And we like Gug.
Yeah, he's our little community favorite. Yeah, we're just gonna be farming.
I see.
Let me see. Let's get some stats, and he needs to make up some stats that he lost on the last boss. And what do you get? You just get int. Sure, why not? So we're going to be just running around this room for a certain amount of time to hopefully get the suit of armor. And barring that, we're going to kill, I believe it's 4 encounters to get enough levels to get us by. Not much we can do besides
Yeah.
run into a wall at this point. As you can imagine, this is a pretty heavy reset point in the speed run. If you don't get on the second encounter, you're just losing about a minute per fight. And it's
Yeah.
not good. So,
Yep.
we're looking for this lovely
Another-
suit of armor that's here.
Hey, there he is, our buddy.
It's a 50% chance he shows up in battle, and we're just we're gonna not say anything and just kind of hope he drops a piece of chainmail for us, and
Yep.
we'll deal with it when we get there.
And something else we recently just like not discovered, but we were working with is that you must kill the entire encounter before you can get it drops. Because
Yes.
there were times where Reverv would be in a run, just kill the suit of armor and flee, and oh, what? I'm not getting in chainmail. What's going on?
Yeah, you still get the experience for killing them, which you would not think in an RPG. Normally, if you flee an encounter, you don't get credit for what you've done. So you'd think you get the item drops as well, but you sure don't.
So yeah, we just have to make sure we kill everything, and then hope we get the items we need. So
So we'll be
we can
crossing
get
our fingers on this one.
Yep. Stat cap 99, I believe it is. I'm not entirely sure. We
Yeah.
don't really get that high, but
It is. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, we get like the 60s, maybe 70s sometimes.
66
Yeah,
is going to be the highest stat we'll get.
66, yeah. Barring any upgrades from
Cross your fingers. We got... Oh my goodness.
Hey, all right, and we like to see it. Oh, we can go higher with gear. Interesting. Okay.
Oh, can't. Yeah, that probably makes sense. It probably says... I don't know if it says 99. It might cap at... Interesting. I haven't played this game enough to grind out those levels, but that's good to know.
And you
So
also
now
got a
we've
lance
the
as
suit of
well.
armor. Yeah, I got the lance as well, which we will not use. But now that we got the suit of armor,
Yeah.
just on to the next boss. Let's just keep it rolling.
Yep. Once we get that armor, Koudelka is good. That is our main objective. Is just getting.
So she
Koudelka...
went from 360 health to 1156, which it's a little bit of an upgrade.
Yep. She's a little beefy
Oops.
now.
And that's why we just don't pick up the lance normally, because you accidentally equip it, thinking it's in the bowgun slot. It doesn't waste any time whatsoever. But
Yeah, after the reward screen, you can select items to not pick them up, which some runners might opt to do, just
Yes.
to clear up inventory space. But also, I believe there's an inventory overflow as well, glitch.
there's a very strange bug where if you have a very specific amount of items and you pick something else up, you have it, it just won't show up in your inventory until you get rid of something else, which is really inconvenient, as you'd imagine.
Yeah, it's a little bizarre.
But it's, actually, I don't need to attack you because it's not going to kill.
Yep, we're gonna just be casting Tornado with Koudelka and just shooting with the bowgun with arrow.
If we
Shooting,
need to, but...
yeah, shooting the enemy with the bowgun with that.
One of the
If
things
we
that
need
we
to, yeah.
routed very carefully in this run is to make sure Koudelka's stats were so that she could kill basically every boss in 2 hits, with not very much wiggle room. It's almost impossible to get the stats to a point where you kill them in 1 shot, and we don't really want to take an extra 3rd turn to kill them, so our stats are just high enough that she can kill in 2. We under damage there by about 30 damage, which is kind of unfortunate, but...
Yep. It
Go
happens.
there. Dark Young, we just do int and agility. And we're gonna pump your dex, and hopefully get you to where we need. I think Edward should be okay with the extra encounter that we got. Let's find out
And
together,
yes.
though, shall we?
And yes, bowguns do need ammo, just like the firearms, because we picked up some bowgun arrows with the bowgun in that same room. And yeah, it is
Thank you for
one
reminding me.
shot. And for reloading, yep.
Yep. Yes, and thank you for
'Cause,
reminding me, because normally you don't use the shot in that fight, but I underdamaged by just a tiny amount, which was just RNG from knockbacks. So I actually need to reload the bowgun.
Yes, and that is
For
important
this
for this
upcoming
upcoming boss. Yes, this fight is kind of why we need to farm early and get some agility,
Yes.
because he is very fast, and also he's completely immune to magic, which
Yeah,
is
and
bizarre.
very
'cause
notorious
he's
early
just
on.
a normal dude.
He's just a dude.
He's just a
Just a
normal
dude with a gun.
dude.
And yeah, this fight is very notorious the first time you play it, because you'll see there's a couple crates sitting in front of him. You can't damage him until you damage the crates, even though you can target him.
Yes.
You have to kill these boxes first. And he's very fast, and just right there just does about 650 damage to Koudelka. If you don't have the armor, she's dead.
Shot.
And she
And,
always goes first, so whatever.
And conveniently, this boss does have a rotation pattern, so he's not gonna target Koudelka again. He goes Koudelka, then Edward, then James. So even if Koudelka's low on HP, we know she's not gonna get targeted for another 3 turns from him. So we
Ooh,
can
that's
just
really low.
cast Flare, shoot bowguns, and poke with the Evil Horn to try and break these crates, so we can damage him with the bowgun.
Unfortunately, our good friend James was just a little too useless this time, and he did not do enough damage with his attack to save us the couple of frames that you save by not casting a magic spell. But that's James for you. So we will have to do a very unnecessary extra 1,000 damage to this box when it was about 30 health away from breaking.
Yeah.
And then we'll have to go and reload again. That's okay.
Yep. It's fine. Yeah, normal knife meet normal gun with a normal guy.
Just a normal game. Nothing too crazy about it. Because I had to take that extra turn, I think he is going to get a shot off on Koudelka again, so I should probably heal her, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, since we have to do the rotation.
It's going to be close. I'm going to heal her just because it's a marathon, and I don't want to deal with that. I gotta pick up the next high potion in the other room. Let's remember to do that. That's not a huge deal.
Okay. Where's that going to be?
Before the Mars chance.
Okay.
You're fine. He's fine. He's got 20 whole health. He's fine.
Yeah, he's fine.
Right, guys?
3.
He's kind of useless anyways, so I did
with
need
his,
that, thankfully.
With his bugle on a stick.
That's his weapon of choice for the rest of the game.
Mm-hmm. Unless we
end up
get
just
another item.
Right, so early on we give James enough agility to kind of help out, but besides that we don't want to pump him with agility because he's so useless. You all start the fight with full ATB, if you want to call it that, just whoever has the highest speed goes first. So it's not too big of a deal to get his first turn off, the rest is just kind of useless.
Yeah,
And-
that's the unfortunate
just
part with
takes-
James.
Yeah, it takes so much
just
time to
sitting there.
pass the turn. You see me escaping or trying to escape, and it says you can't escape, obviously, because it's a boss battle. All I'm doing is just passing his turn and burning his turn to someone more useful. So if we give him more agility, that means we just have to pass more and more turns. So we pump him full of int, so he will eventually be helpful, and then we give him agility when we actually need him.
Yep.
Coming
yeah,
up,
early-
we got our... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, he's normally like the cleric. He's like spec to be a healer, but for the speedrun,
Yeah.
we don't really need to do much healing in battles.
A little bit of damage, but we're coming up to our first possible content warning. We could get a black cat here as a random encounter. It's the most wanted encounter that we get in this game because it drops the best weapon we will use. Unfortunately, we do have to pet the cat to get the item.
Yeah,
and
pet the
we
cat
will
with some fire.
alert you if that happens, but we like cats here in the stream. So
Yeah, we love kitty cats, but in order to go
we're
fast,
kind of hoping we don't get one, even though we're hoping we get one, but we don't want one.
Mhm.
We're a friend of animals in this stream,
Yep.
unless
it's
we need
one
to
of
for
the
video
best-
game purposes, obviously. Kill the animals, save
Yeah,
the
it's one of
friends.
it's one of the best weapons in the game. So getting it right now would be the most beneficial. But yeah, we got the 3 little angel babies instead, so we're just gonna flee.
Almost as good. Almost as good. We do have one more chance to get the cat early on. If we don't get it, we have another chance very, very late to get it. We have to have a perfect movement, though, in order to actually get the encounter in the right spot. And I haven't been getting it lately, so we're gonna let's hope we get a cat here or never at all. And this is our first big backtracking section of the game. We entered this room before and had a cutscene and got kicked out immediately. But now we're going back in to pick up a couple items that we need for later on in the run. Story-wise, up to this point, not a whole lot has happened other than we want to figure out the mystery of the ghost that we encountered earlier on and kind of figure out why we're all here. We're getting a little bit of exposition in every one of these cutscenes, but we're still very uncertain as to why we're all here. What brought us here? What's our purpose? And unless your name is Edward, you have a purpose to be here.
Yeah, Edward just kind of, well, I got nothing better to do. Might as well stick around.
Edward Plunkett was a real-life human being. He was an explorer,
That's true.
and he, in this game, he just saw this castle, was like, oh, let's go look at it. That's his story.
Yep, that's his background. Like, I wonder if there's anything cool in there, and just start looting.
So we did not get
But,
a cat there as well, so we can all look back and hug your cats tight, because we love them, and we would never hurt them.
Yep, we are not cat petters this run.
No. Or, yeah, let's go with that. So now is a great time for more donations. We're just kind of running through a wide stretch of this game where we just do a bit of puzzle solving and a little bit of backtracking, a little bit of item collecting.
Well, I would like to let everyone know that I am petting my cat for everybody, just so
Thank
we're
you,
clear
thank
on that one. She deserves many pets, and her 3rd birthday was yesterday. So,
Happy birthday.
with that said, I do want to talk about some of the donations. Sorry, some of the bids we still have going on. Like at current, we do have the ability to name the hero in Shining Force CD. We still have Bowie at $75 and Shermack at $25, as well as Fight Duck Truck and Steam World Quest Hand of Gilgamesh. I do see somebody donated to it. It went up from $80 to $135 because they have tape.
Yeah, right.
Yes, let's go.
We want to fight the duck truck.
That's a lot of words in a row. I want that.
Mm-hmm.
I am here to provide many words in a row. That's my job.
Appreciate it.
We also do have some fantastic prizes you can put your donations towards automatically as long as you meet the minimum donation. At current, we have the Pokemon Evolution plushes for a minimum of $20, the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Metallic Print for a minimum of $15, and the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX copy for Switch for a minimum of $10 donation. Those will be open until the end of Mario and Luigi Dream Team Any percent, so you got a couple hours there, but a free copy of a Switch game and a fantastic remake of an old GBA/DS game while you're at that. Fantastic. I absolutely highly suggest Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX if you've never played it before.
Great games.
Nice.
And we actually have a little bit more time. We're coming up to a very notorious puzzle that if you have done this casually, you will get to this room and you'll be locked out entirely. You have to step on a certain order of tiles, and you do get the solution, but it doesn't really make sense.
It's kind of confusing, yeah.
So,
because I just recently learned where the
game FAQs and you just look it up, and even then you're like, wait, what? Where am I supposed to go?
Why? What doesn't make sense? Yeah, I just recently learned where the other half of that puzzle is, because you can completely skip it, and it's like hidden on the background.
Yes.
I won't spoil it where it is, just in case you want to play this game casually.
You're forced to get one half of the solution, which you saw me just get, but the other half, you're on your own.
Yep, just guess, I guess.
All right, we're picking up the high potion. We're coming up to another room where we can get a very beneficial enemy with a very beneficial item drop. Do you want to mention that one, Rome?
Sure, yeah. So we're going to be looking for an enemy called Mars. He looks like a little balloon guy with like little spindly legs and arms. Unfortunately, that's not
this one. This is a different balloon.
Not this other balloon guy,
monster. Yeah.
He's more like a 5-head enemy than he is a little big belly guy.
This is actually a boss in Shadow Hearts 1.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. He's much larger in Shadow Hearts, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Same
there's I think there's a couple of reused models from Koudelka that's used in Shadow Hearts as well, from when I was looking at.
The upside down gun shooty guy is a boss as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's called Inverse.
Yeah, I need to finish Shadow Hearts 1. I unfortunately had to take a vacation, or not a vacation, but a break from it. So I need to get back into finishing that series.
Let's get your Tabar back on and give you some health.
Yeah, we're going to be coming up on another boss. Again, it's going to be straightforward. We're going to have Koudelka just spamming spells while Edward's just going to be sitting there tanking, and we're going to have James as our backup.
Things. So at this point in the run, if we did get that item, we would be able to kill this enemy in 2 hits. I don't think we're going to get there this time. So we might be using James as a little bit of a useful human being for the first time in his life.
Wow.
No offense, my buddy James, but we're going to see how much damage Koudelka does. And if we need a little bit of extra damage, we're going to have James help out. Which is the first time he is actually super helpful in the run if you get bad weapons. If you get good weapons, you use them all in Disc 1, just to hit things with a pipe. But, okay, we have enough there.
Sweet. Nice. So yeah, as you can see, these bosses are a little wild looking, but they are very interesting, very heavily inspired by, extreme body horror and very twisted designs, and I think it's fantastic.
It's grotesque and beautiful. We love it.
Yeah, and every now and then when Rev's doing a run, he'll get like a random encounter, and there's just like bizarre enemies I've never seen before. It's just like, what the?
There's great enemies you've never seen before, and every now and then there's a chair or two that you get. I don't know. There's evil chairs. You can't just go the entire game with monsters. Yeah. And that's a little bit of foreshadowing. We might run into a chair later.
Yeah, that's this is gonna be Koudelka's MO. Just plow as much damage as we can with spells as possible, and then just have the other two be there for support.
So I'm being very careful with Koudelka's stats right there, because we're actually coming up onto the section where it's going to be Koudelka only. So I need to make sure she's at some very specific levels to survive the boss fight that she has to do solo.
Yeah, there's going to be a bit of a point where she gets split from the party and she's going to be all alone, which is another reason why we really want that armor. We mentioned it earlier for farming, because otherwise just settling for only vitality can make that fight a little risky.
Oops. So we're starting to see some strange plant life in this mansion. I don't quite know why, but for some reason there was a vine growing out of the wall in that room. And it's strange. I don't quite know why, but I have a feeling we'll
Weird.
find out. Why would there be plants growing in this mansion?
That'd be bizarre. But yeah, we're going to be running around picking up some more key items, heading to the next point where we need to solve puzzles and pick up more items. A lot of running
Talk
around.
to
at
some
this point.
people that we'll not actually get to see, but the recurring character in the Shadow Hearts universe, Roger Bacon, makes his first appearance in a couple seconds. We'll be skipping all of his dialogue. Unfortunately, we'll see him in the credits, though. If you have anything to say about NAMI, the great organization, we would love to hear about that. It's a great cause, and it's near and dear to our hearts.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, okay, setting me up. Let's do it.
Oh, easy.
Then did you know that 1 in 5 Americans live with a mental health condition? We at RPG Limit Break are proud to be raising money for NAMI. NAMI stands for the National Alliance on Mental Illness, a charity who works tirelessly towards cracking the code of mental illness through various means such as education, leadership, and increasing the availability of care. Please join us here at RPG Limit Break in supporting such a worthy cause. And while we're at it, keep in mind, friends, that we're only $55 away from hitting $8,000. We're that close.
Ooh.
And you could put that $55 towards like fighting Duck Truck. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
we all win.
we all win.
We do.
All right, we're going to take our second encounter in this room to have another chance at getting this enemy that we really want to see, which will give us an item, which will make everything so much easier later on.
Would be great. Yes.
It would be so great, and just like every speedrun I've ever done, we did not get it.
Yep. So yeah, this item we're looking for is essentially an elemental scroll. Upcoming, there's going to be a boss that is extremely annoying to deal with without it. Otherwise, we're gonna just
It's more
kinda
fun to
use it.
showcase it, let's be real.
Yeah, that's true. In a marathon, yeah, it's more fun to show it off. Otherwise, it's like, what? That's it?
Yep.
But
Thankfully, we have plenty of time. My estimate was very high because things can go very, very wrong in this game, and we can lose 10 to 20 minutes from having to reset. But fortunately, we've gotten past through the vast majority of the scary parts, so we're going to have plenty of time to showcase the boss in all its glory as it was meant to be played. So we're coming up on
yeah,
the
meant to.
very, very pivotal moment of the game where things start to take a turn. We are at the main cathedral of this mansion, and we're going to go check on a very strange wall. We're going to skip the cutscene, as you would expect, but what essentially happens is we see some massive plant structure through a crack in the wall, and we think we need to try to get there.
we need to go over
Because
there.
We need to get over there. Here's this lovely crack in the wall. What's on the other side? Unfortunately, we can't do it at this point because we can't fit through that hole, so we gotta find another way around, but as we do so, we get attacked by a demon, and it's actually the super boss of the game. Thankfully, we can just run away from it. But
Yep.
if you're playing
I
it
don't think you
casually,
can
you try to
even-
fight it. Does he kill you? I don't even know.
I don't think you can kill it. I think you do need to.
You can't kill it. No, you do miss
Yeah.
if you try to attack it, but
Yeah.
I think it can kill you.
Yep.
So
I
it
think you can
splits
get
the
a game
party
over.
up. Yes, Edward and James run away, and Koudelka is left on her own. Thankfully, you always flee on the first try. The gargoyle. And that's going to mark the end of Disc 2 as we head into the trickier section of the run. Do a quick
I do
disc
love this
swap.
because it's a screen transition after a boss to go into disc 3. I just love it for some reason.
We didn't
Like,
quite perfect that.
just like, I want to head down. Oh, okay, that's a disc swap, I guess.
Yep.
But as we've been fighting a lot of these bosses, we've been getting these icons, which are key items to insert into these different statues in this courtyard. Something else to mention is that at the very beginning of the game, the very first cutscene, Koudelka is climbing the rooftop of this monastery where she slips and she drops a necklace or a pendant from a person that falls down below. And you just think, huh, that's weird. And you just forget about it, several hours ago. But we're going to be running up to that item and we kind of need it.
Yeah, we're going to be picking that item up in just a bit. It's actually a great accessory and something we'll be using. The first time I played this casually, I didn't know that item was there. And you're
Yeah.
thinking, whatever, you skip out on an accessory. You can't beat the last boss without it. You get a cutscene and you die and it says game over.
Yep.
That would have
You
been
need
nice
this
to
item.
know.
This little item that's
Yeah.
inconspicuous item. If you don't pick it up,
Mildly
you can
important.
actually just completely miss it.
Yeah.
I believe there's a spot in the end of the game where they just conveniently put it there or something, but
You know, that's what they say, but I sure didn't see it on my first casual
I didn't
playthrough,
either,
and
yeah.
had to go back and find a save that was before the point of no return. But, yeah. So
Yeah,
coming
just
up, we
gonna-
are hitting that room we mentioned earlier on the game that is a little bit more bloody than the other rooms. There is a cutscene that thankfully we skip with some violence in it, but there will be some less than living people on the floor. And if that's something you don't wish to see, then we'll give you the notice to look away. It's coming up in about 30 seconds, if not less than that. We'll let you know
Just a
when
little
it's
bit
over
of
too.
little bit of a
Just
content warning
FYI.
about blood and some deceased people on the ground, and yeah, we'll notify you whenever that happens, and then give you the all clear whenever we're past it.
Yep, we are heading to it right now. I am going into it at the moment.
Okay. Yep. So look away. if you
And it is
desire.
PlayStation 1 era. It's not the most graphic thing in the world, but again, we want to make sure everyone is comfortable here.
And yeah, some
We're
of the
going to take the key
CGI
that we get here. Yeah, some of the CGI is quite good. Thankfully, we
good,
skipped that.
and
We're almost clear of it. The next room is still not great, if I had to say so myself.
yeah, it's a little grotesque.
We've got about 15
We'll be-
seconds left.
Yep, we'll be done with it in a minute.
It does make a great horror game since it is October and we're coming up on Halloween. If you need something slightly spooky to play, this is a great one.
Yeah, for sure. This
We
is
are
a
clear.
fantastic game. Yep, we're all good. So you're free to look back if you are sensitive to that sort of thing.
We are coming up on a boss battle. It is the
boy.
only one we will fight one-on-one. But it's a very cute monster, if I don't say so myself. What do you think,
He is
Rob?
very cute, yes.
He's a bit of a cutie. I'm going to swap that. I might get the encounter here because I got the encounter early a little bit before. Let's see. I did not. I like that. So this, my friends, I am proud to introduce to the world my boy, Gug. G-U-G, Gug. He's got 4 arms. They spawn at the elbow for some reason, not at the shoulder. And he loves nothing more than just punching people in the face. And you know what? We love that too.
Yeah, so
The,
this is the boss we mentioned where we do need some armor if possible, because Gug can kill you. He can just straight up
Oh yeah.
run up to you, smack you twice, and you're out of there, and it's game over.
The
So-
speedrun notes when I got into this scene was prepare for the fight, go in, cast tornado, one of you will die. Either you kill
And
him or
yeah.
he kills you. That's Gug.
Yep. Thankfully, we got
If you have
some
any Guggers in chat, get them out right now.
Gug. Yep. Always see some
Gug.
Gugging right now.
Oh, I'm very glad to hear it. That was actually a 2-turn fight, which is incredible. I never get that in a run. I got
Yeah,
an
I was gonna
amazing
say,
pendant roll.
I was gonna say 2 turns is pretty good.
I'm gonna run around like a bit of a fool here. I'm doing that to avoid an encounter. If I did it right, I won't get an encounter in this room. Crossing my fingers, holding my breath, and we didn't get it, so I think I got the encounter skip.
Nice.
Encounters
Yeah.
are not super dangerous in this run, but they just waste time. It takes about 30 seconds to fully load and unload the fight, and then any extra time if you fail to run away. It's just wasted time. So if we take 10 seconds to walk around to save 30, we'll do that any day. And that's something that was known about when I first came into the scene, but we've been working very hard to try to find more of those. I think in total I've found about 6 that you can skip. And they don't all save 20 seconds. Some of them save about 10 because of how much extra moving you have to do. But it adds up.
Oh yeah, for sure. Being able to mitigate the encounters and just preventing anything from enemies is great. But one thing I want to mention is that if you're playing the PAL version, there is actually a weapon that is exclusive to the PAL version that's behind that grave we were just at. It is not available on the NA or the JP versions, and it is better than any weapon in this version of the game.
Why? I
Don't
don't
know
know.
why it's
It just
yeah,
is.
don't know why it's PAL
Don't worry about
exclusive,
it.
but that's just the way it is.
Unfortunately, the
But,
PAL version is slower, as is most PAL running, just because of the frame rate issues. So
Yep.
it is not the optimal way to play, but it's a little bit easier just because of that.
yeah. Yeah, you just get the guaranteed best weapon. Like,
It's just there.
makes it a
Just
lot
pick it
easier.
up. Although so is the mace, to be fair. So that is
Sure.
my best weapon that I just picked up in Disc 2, and I will be using for the rest of the game. It boosts your int and your mind like crazy.
It's very good,
So-
yeah.
Alright, this is a little bit early for this encounter, but look who it is.
Oh, we got a little Mars. There he is.
So
There's
this
our boy.
cute little balloon with lots of fingers can drop the best item in the game. We're gonna cross our fingers. I think in my runs, I have killed this guy maybe 200, 300 times, and have gotten I think 5 item drops from it.
Yeah, it's really low, yeah.
The
But
last marathon I did, I got it, so I'm confident this is gonna happen again.
I hope so, because it
Marathon
can
locked,
save.
but in a good way.
It can save so much time, yeah.
It will literally save you 5 minutes in the speed run.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get your agility.
Oh, we got a water scroll, of course, and a marathon.
Of course.
So that's
Of course.
So I guess we can show off a little bit of the boss.
Yeah, we'll be showing off what the boss is, but
Yeah,
so
we have that in our
that
estimate,
enemy
yeah.
can drop a scroll, which has one of 4 elements to it: water, fire, earth, and air. The boss that we need it for is actually immune to air. So I have been trolled twice playing this game by getting the scroll drop, but it's an air drop, so it's
Right.
literally worthless. You can't use it at any other point in the run.
Yep. For some reason, just the specific boss that we can use the scroll on is really weak to the elements. Everything else
Yeah.
we've tried to fiddle with, try and use it, and it just doesn't cut it.
It does about as much damage as a normal attack, and at that point, it's just
Right.
do a normal attack.
Yep.
But we will showcase why that saves 5 minutes. We'll take a couple minutes detour because we're pretty far ahead. And just a note to our good friends at RPG Limit Break, we are, if I had to guess, 25 minutes underestimate at this point. Around that type of pace, because everything has gone completely correct. So just a heads up.
Yeah. Yeah, despite the awful weapon RNG luck at the start, everything else has been going pretty well.
Everything else has been absolutely perfect, and that's kind of the nature of RPGs, as you can imagine. They can go horribly, horribly wrong, or horribly, horribly right. And in this case, we don't want to waste too much time. However, we get to show off the end credits. You can get a taste of the cutscenes that are in this game, and the great CGI that exists for the era, and some of the not great CGI that exists for horses.
Yep. And so those 2 dolls that Rev just turned in a doll with, you can actually interact with those dolls. You might have seen them when we ran through the screen earlier, and it starts a boss fight, but you can't damage them. You can run away, but you can't do anything to them. They'll just miss everything. And so the idea is you need to find this key item to turn it into them and continue past
You need to
them
find
get
their likenesses elsewhere. We give them themselves, I think, and then their spirits are happy. So now we're coming into the most daunting enemies in the game. This is a boss battle.
Oh no, scary furniture.
As we all know, chairs are weak to water, and books are
course.
weak to earth. That's just a known fact in this world.
Everyone knows
So if
that.
you're ever out and about and some chair gets all up in your business, just throw some water on it.
And just to answer a quick question from chat,
Yeah.
the encounters are kind of step-based. The encounter formations are random, but the actual encounter placement is the same if you're following the same sort of step patterns.
We think, again, this game was, it's hard to find information on, and we can't say 100% for certain, but we think it's a step count, and if you do the same things every time, we think you'll get the encounters in the same spot every time.
Yeah, most of the time, yeah.
Most of the time. Sometimes you get some weirdness, though, that makes me think.
Yeah, it's like, why didn't I get that thing?
And as you all know, rock beats paper, so we throw some rocks at these books. Just don't worry about the rules of common sense.
Maybe because it's floating and you're trying to ground it. I don't know.
Wouldn't it be weak to air, then? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm just a speedrunner, man. And we can almost kill it in one shot, but not quite, so let's just go up and smack it with our stick. That thankfully scales with intellect, so we can actually do a decent amount of damage. Instead of wasting another spellcast, we can just go up and smack the bookshelf.
Yeah, if only melee was better, we would use it more often later in the game, but magic is just so good.
So that was just a warm-up boss. This is actually the ghost that's been haunting us this entire run. This is Charlotte, a young girl who died in this mansion. We still don't, I think at this point, know why. We probably are able to get a little bit of flavor text to tell us. I think you can read the note from her mother and a couple other things that kind of give you a little bit of backstory about her.
Yeah.
But
she is actually an optional boss, believe it or not, but because she actually drops like one of the best accessories in the game.
The best, yeah.
Yeah, the best accessory in the game. We opt to fight her as well as good experience, because I believe also the items to subdue her are out of the way as well, so that
they're a little out of the way. If it actually saved time overall, it's about 30 seconds to get, which is actually not too bad considering how far we go for some of the other items, but
the accessory
it's
is
just not worth it because
good.
the accessory, it's about 5 levels worth of stats, and we don't want to grind those 5 levels. So we could save about a minute by skipping this fight entirely, but we'd be losing that time later very, very quickly.
But yeah, she's not too bad. She's not very scary in our route, really.
We just have to make sure Edward is at high enough health to survive, which is why we tossed a heal on him. He takes a lot of damage from the chair and the books, so we just make sure he's at just enough level to survive a hit or two.
Yep, doing his duty as the meat shield.
It's the meat shield. So she's doing her rounds. Most of the enemies in this game, if they have ranged, will hit Koudelka, then Edward, then James. So we know the turn order. And just like that, we've killed her in 2 hits.
Yep, there she goes.
Which even still at this part of the run, when bosses have about 5,000 health, we're doing 2,500 health damage to them. That's about to change, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, right to the next boss, because, as you mentioned, this Charlotte has 4,600 and some health. The very next boss will have over 9,000 health, so it's...
Yeah, we're taking a bit of jump in terms of how much backtracking you're supposed to be doing at this point. We've done all of our item collecting very early on, so we don't need to worry about that.
No.
So she did drop the star brooch, which will give us an insane amount of agility. So see, it's 18 agility.
Yeah. Yep, the star brooch is fantastic, because she's going to be super fast now and super blasty.
You get the pendant, you get the ring. Everyone gets a downgrade. You give Koudelka the best stuff, and then you move that stuff that just got slotted out down to the next worst character, which is James at this point. And then if James has any leftovers, that goes on to Edward. He doesn't need magic. But it actually helps with defense a little bit.
Yep.
So normally we'd have to go back and pick up a lot of items to be able to get through these doors and put this disc in here to be able to go into this next room to fight this next boss, but we've done that already.
Yep,
So
we already know. Yep, we already knew ahead of time where to get this stuff, so we just slap them in and keep going.
Something's not right. Yep. We're about to get very, very deep into the actual story of this game. This is the part of the run where we're finally figuring some stuff out. So after this boss, we'll have a cutscene. And Rome, you want to kind of mention what's happening up to this point?
Sure. Yeah. So as we've been running around this mansion, finding little bits and pieces. We're not really sure why we've been brought here, but after this boss, we're gonna get a visit from Elaine, who has a connection with one of our party members, and they've sort of been the ones drawing both James and Koudelka here, and I believe Edward just kind of coincidentally just shows
along for
up
the
here.
ride. Yep.
Yeah, he's just along for the ride.
He's just bored.
Yep. But
so
she asks. But yeah, she asks the party to destroy her body, so she can. Yeah, so she can move on. But we're like, huh, okay. Well, let's.
Interesting.
I guess we'll keep that in mind. But yeah, we're gonna be.
Yeah, so she has a connection to James, who at this point has just been a bit of a heel, and we say, hey, we want to do X, Y, and Z, and he says, no, I don't think we
he's
should.
He's always the contrarian.
Why, James? Why? And he's kind of. He almost seems like a villain for a bit of the game. You don't trust him whatsoever.
No. But he does end
also,
up
just
redeeming
for
himself.
He does. For any fans of Mario Golf, I swear this boss sounds like Bowser in Mario Golf 64. When it
I was
moves,
gonna mention that, too.
everyone else thinks I'm insane, but
No, as soon as,
listen
as
when
soon
it
as you
moves in a
mentioned
bit.
it,
You'll
Yeah.
hear it. If you
As
play
soon as-
Mario Golf, it's coming up after this magic spell goes off. It'll move. I'm going to be quiet. Tell me you don't hear Bowser in Mario Golf 64. Quiet time, please. Tell me that is not Bowser hitting a perfect
That's-
tee shot.
yeah, that's Bowser. To me.
I think they just lifted that sound effect, if you ask me. You'll never.
Yeah, ever
convince
since
me
you brought it
otherwise.
up, I'm like, yep, that's got to be it.
Yep.
Or at least some sort of similar sound effect.
Inspiration, maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll go with that route.
But yeah, that's Jezebel / Scapegoat. I'm not sure. what
Yeah,
the
another
official
interesting
name
thing
is.
about this is we don't know the official names of any boss. It's not written down anywhere. This game was not made in English. We're kind of just making it up as we go along. It's written down in the wiki as one thing, and in the notes of the previous runners who were French and English was not their first language. They've given some interesting names to some of the bosses, and I don't know where this came from, but we
Yeah,
just
I'm not sure.
we just go with what we like. We know
Yeah,
Gug is
just roll with
Gug
it.
though, and that's all that matters.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Gug's the
I think
important
he is
one.
giant in some other languages, but he's Gug. He's Gug in our hearts. So that cutscene we just skipped was our first introduction to Elaine. If you read a lot of the flavor text in this game, you know that this mansion belonged to a man named Patrick and his wife Elaine. We know Elaine is
Elaine.
dead, unfortunately, and she wants us to destroy her body. Patrick, we haven't been able to talk to. We need to find answers from him. We've been
Yeah,
hearing
where's
some
this Patrick
rumors that a lot of the town folk have disappeared recently. So we need to have a bit of a word with him. We do talk to this character that we mentioned before, Roger Bacon, who is in the series. He is a 600-year-old warlock who's been asleep for 300 years. But he fills us in with a lot of backstory that doesn't make any sense.
He's quite the character.
If you've played the Shadowheart series, the story in this actually does mirror the series a lot. It deals with the same topics and the same documents and the same concept. I won't spoil that though. And
Yep,
Roger
since
Bacon
that's
does
a
show up. He's the comic relief, but he is a great, great character. Very funny design. This is our last chance to get a cat, and we'll see if we get one. We'll give you a warning if we do. Thankfully, we did not. We don't need a cat at this point, and we'll just hug your cats for me
Yep,
and
we're going
pet them
catless.
gently.
So the next boss is going to have a little bit of explaining.
Yeah, actually, we have a ton of time because we have to do a
sure,
lot of
yeah.
backtracking before we get there. If there's anything that you want to jump in with, feel free.
Yep.
Okay, well then let's kick it off with this $10 donation here. It's no message, it's from our friend Manix86, but like the forward-thinking entrepreneur they are, they put that $10 towards the Name Hero incentive for Shining Force CD, throwing Duck Truck into the running.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
do it.
Oh, I love it. We also have a $20 donation here from The Pizza is Aggressive that says, I heard there would be a duck truck. You have my attention, gentlemen.
Yes, let's go. Let's go.
I like that this is taking off. I'm really happy with this.
I'm all for it.
And we are
Let's go,
also
yeah.
at $7,975. We're $25 away from 8,000. What champion is going to push us over?
Let's do
And
it.
please, if you
Alright,
do, put
go.
it towards Duck Truck.
Duck truck, team duck truck.
Let's go, duck truck.
So we're
But,
doing one more round of backtracking. It's I think we got one more after this even, but wait, do we? No, this is the last major one.
This is the acid, right?
Yes, this is the acid. We actually don't need the acid right this second, but we will later. And we might as well get it now since we're a little bit closer to it.
Yep.
And since we're here, we might as well try to skip an encounter in this boss room that is fully cleared. This one I think is 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
And yeah, just to clarify with anybody coming
Yes.
in, Reverv setting up an encounter skip. So this game somewhat has a step count where any time you're moving up to 18 seconds, it will trigger an encounter. But since we got an item earlier, we've theorized that it doubles that to 36 seconds. We're not quite
We
sure.
get a
Again,
mask. Yep.
yeah,
Well,
we're
I
not
don't
quite
know.
sure,
Again,
but it seems to reduce encounters. But
some people think it only reduces lower level encounters. Some people think it works on everything. I don't know. We pick it up. It seems like it's a good thing.
But yeah.
Yeah, Apostle. I think it's about that time.
About that time for the apostle explanation. All right, so the next boss is quite the boss. So we have the backup scroll that we got from the Mars enemy, which is gonna basically one-shot it. But we're gonna show off just a round of what it's gonna do, just to showcase why this boss is horrible. So I'm gonna try and explain as best as I can. The apostle has 3 states. It has a not wiggling state where it's idle, just kind of waving there in the wind.
Just chilling
And then it's
out.
going to have a wiggling state where it's going to be shaking its little wings. And then there's also going to be another state, which is preparing a spell. When apostle is not wiggling, it is going to be susceptible to damage. So we can cast magic on it. We can shoot with bowgun if we need to, just do as much damage as we possibly can. But once he starts wiggling, he's going to absorb every single element in the game, as well as physical attacks. You cannot damage him. We've tried everything we possibly can. Even the fortify spells, which we mentioned before were lower stats, will actually buff his stats.
Go figure.
Great. And
Great.
we're
Neat.
not sure
Fun.
when he's
Great.
gonna. Yeah, we're not sure when he's gonna wiggle and when he's not gonna wiggle. It's kind of on a timer. It's kind of just based off turns.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to
just
do
gonna
anything
have
3
to-
turns in a row, which is
Right.
the only clue we get. But yeah, there's also that
Yeah.
third state where he's casting a spell, and you
Casting
can't tell
a
if he's
spell,
wiggling
which-
or not.
Yeah. So
And
whenever
our
he's
main
casting a
source of damage
spell,
is casting a spell as well, so we don't want to
Yes.
risk it because casting a spell is not instant. You have to wait a little bit for the charge to go off. So
yep. And the
we're gonna show
preparing
how this
spell-
fight. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say when he's preparing a spell, he's just gonna be sitting there flapping his wings vertically, and that will not showcase whether he's wiggling or not wiggling. So we're not sure whether we can damage him or not. So we have to wait for him to cast a spell to be done. So
So
yeah,
he
this
always
is
starts
apostle.
out not wiggling. Yep. And since we're faster, we can guarantee we get our spell off before his spell off. We don't have to worry about what his next animation is. So hey, we did 1,200 damage to him. He's got 8,000 health, which is a lot, but doesn't seem too bad. If you're doing this fight casually, it will take you hours to figure it out.
Yeah.
I've seen people, I like watching first-time runners get here, and first-time casual playthroughs get here. They have no idea what's going on, and
They're
it is
like,
awful.
what's going on? Yeah, why
They're
is
like,
he
wait a
healing?
minute, is he
What's going
wiggling?
on?
Is he not wiggling? Can I attack? Can I not? So,
It would be one thing if there was like an explanation for like some sort of description of the boss, like like
Nope.
like there's like a note on the ground or something. I don't think there's anything that explains
nothing.
the behavior. So, it's
he is
just
deciding
run
to
in.
continue to not wiggle at the moment, which I can see very slightly in the background. And, you know, we'll deal with that. So, like, okay, this fight is going great. We've already done 2,500 damage to him. Just
a couple more rounds.
4 more spells and he's done. You know, easy, right?
Yeah. Casting a spell.
Casting a spell. We put Reflect on Edward, so he just stands up front and just reflects, and we don't have to worry about healing. And we just kind of brute force our way through this fight. So we're like, okay, that's great. Let's get into this. Oh wait,
Hey, what's he
Now if you
doing? Hold
notice
on a
him-
second.
you can kind of see the wing back there. He is wiggling like crazy.
He is
That
shaking.
means he will absorb everything. So there's literally nothing you can do other than wait. You have to sit here and pass all of your turns and just wait for him to decide, I am done wiggling. If you accidentally hit him, it'll heal him for the amount of damage you would have done. And so it'll take that much longer to get back to a place where you can actually damage him again.
Yep.
He is continuing to wiggle, so
Yep.
all we
Still
can
a
do
wiggle. So
is wait.
just gonna keep passing your turn until he stops.
I think the
Yep, we
best
just gotta
I've
wait.
ever done in this fight is about 3.5 minutes from start to finish without a scroll. And the worst I've done is about 8 minutes because sometimes he just doesn't want to stop wiggling. And
He'll just keep
stop
wiggling,
for
yeah.
one turn and just go right back into it. So that was 2. He should be done now.
Yeah.
And
Once he's
not,
done.
So we actually had
Yeah.
some horrible luck here.
Yeah.
I think that'll be his last one, though. I'm pretty sure he's only allowed 3 turns of any state. Although I've never seen him stand still for 3 turns, to be honest. So maybe it's 3 and 2.
Yeah, it's just bizarre. Such a bizarre boss.
Yeah. It's a crazy fight.
Yeah, once he stops wiggling, we can just use the scroll and continue on our way.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, he has about 8,000 health, but right now he's not wiggling. So this random item, it does water damage. Let's just throw this at him, see how much it does. Oh. Okay.
Oh, okay. That just one-shots him. That's neat.
And he always starts not wiggling, so you can just start the fight, throw that in there. The fight takes 10 seconds. It's over. It's the easiest fight in the game. If you get the rarest, best item to drop, which we did.
But yeah, that's Apostle. And thankfully, yeah, it cuts out a lot of time with the scroll.
And
yeah, we're going to do some more
stats. Since we should not be here yet. We get so many levels from this. This is kind of an absurd amount of experience that we get because this is very far into the game. We haven't killed a whole lot other than bosses, so we're doing great. And he thankfully dropped a second bow gun, a crossbow, which is a much, much stronger version. And since we have maxed out Edward's health to where we need it to be, we can actually start pumping him with strength again. He has enough health to survive what we need. We get him to 60 vitality, and then we're good to go. So now he's going to be strong again, and we actually have a weapon that keeps up with the pace of the game.
Stats have natural growth. I don't believe the stats naturally grow. I believe you have to invest in them because I think Edward will just sit with 8 MP all game if you don't put any points in the piety.
The entire game. Yep, absolutely.
So yeah, if you don't commit the points, you don't get the bonus.
You get nothing. So it's really fun. I don't remember what I did the first time. I think I had half strength and half magic on Koudelka. I think I went with strength on Edward, and I think I just made James like all piety and int. But
yeah.
You can customize it however you want. There's no penalty for having the wrong character be the wrong class or anything.
Right.
So this actually is the only time in the speedrun we will hear dialogue.
And yeah, the gear and weapons will also give.
Wow, you ruined it, Rome. No, I'm kidding.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
It's okay. We actually can't skip that dialogue. That cutscene there is a great one where you hear the backstory of Koudelka, and she's very snarky in this run, and a very strong woman, and doesn't take crap from anyone, and actually has a bit of a guard-breaking moment there where she opens up and talks a lot to Edward, and you hear about her childhood, and she had a pretty rough life, but she has some magic powers, and she's able to communicate with the dead, which is why she was drawn here. We're coming up to that point where we're getting close to the end of the game, and we still haven't met our friend Patrick yet. We need to figure out what is going on.
Guy?
I believe
we're gonna be...
Roger Bacon did tell us what was going on in those cutscenes. Essentially, he is trying to bring Elaine back from the dead. Some man who is actually unnamed in this game, he is named in the Shadow Hearts games, gave him some documents and said, here's how you bring people back to life. You need to harvest souls from the townsfolk and do these certain incantations, and it will revive your wife. And Patrick says,
that sounds
okay,
like a great deal.
Sounds like a great deal. So he lures the entire village into this mansion and does away with them. And he's hoping that it brings Elaine back to life. But it doesn't all... as they say in Pet Sematary, you better leave the dead dead. I can't remember the exact name of that movie. The dead are better off dead or something like that. But yeah, so we're going to have some conversations with some people about their shenanigans and put them to rest. You probably have seen me do a couple of puzzles in the background for this, where you have to do some very specific inputs. Thankfully, we don't need to go look up the solution to them in order to solve them, unlike some of the other puzzles in this game. And they never change. So the first puzzle that I did earlier was yes, no, no, yes. And that one is Secret Pain People Light, or 3214, if you're so inclined. So we're just cruising through all of these puzzles that usually take you a long time to find the solutions for in weird places.
Yeah, they're kind of hidden away.
Yeah. This cutscene that we just skipped here, we just found Patrick. He is kind of absorbed by plants. He's not doing so great. He's a little bit dead. Brother. So there goes our conversation with him, unfortunately. So I think the only thing left to do is to burn the mansion down. That was actually our point of no return. If you're playing casually, you cannot go back into the mansion.
Yep.
And
We are on our way to
you're
the
stuck out here.
final few bosses.
So we're gonna do the final boss rush. We probably have about, I'd call it 15 minutes left of the run, just for warning's sake. The world record is 1 hour and 22 minutes. That is with insane luck, and we've obviously not getting that here, but that's not expected in a marathon safety run. However, this has been an extremely smooth run, which I am very happy for.
Yeah, it's been pretty good, honestly, because we got the scroll, no cat's eye, but besides, yeah, just the starting weapon
Second
RNG,
try armor, yeah.
And the bosses outside of Madfly have been great.
Yeah, I put in a lot of work over the last 2 months to make this game marathon safe. In the past, you would just reset if you didn't get the weapons. You were just out of luck. And I've worked really hard on routing it so you can just use normal knife. The fan favorite.
Normal knife.
Normal knife.
But yeah, we're going to be taking out some of these vines. They're weak to fire, so we're just going to be having Koudelka spam flare. If we casted enough flares, we can actually level up flare, which is the only point in the run where it would actually be useful right now.
Yeah, so if you get flare 2, it hits tiles next to the target you're casting, and these ones love to group up. Unfortunately, when you're doing a run, you don't cast flare enough. You're usually just off. I'll either learn it on this fight or the next one when it's entirely useless. Oh well. If you're doing it casually, you'll have flare 2 or flare 3 by now, most likely.
Yeah, and you can.
That's if you're using flare exclusively, right? It's hard to know what elemental weaknesses are what. And even similar enemies, you'll find different reskin versions of them in different rooms, and they'll have different elemental weaknesses, so it's really hard to know what is weak to what other than trial and error.
Yep, just try it and see what works. You got 3 characters that can cast spells, even Edward, who, even if you don't spec him to magic, you can maybe kind of gauge and see if there's something weak with his 20 damage or something.
Yep. Other than that, he's a bit of a meat tank, but now he's got a crossbow, which is actually doing decent damage.
Yeah, crossbow's great.
I do have to worry about his health a little bit here, because these trees, on their next turn, will be doing a triple slap, and that does a good amount of damage, so I need to make sure he can survive, which right now he can't, so I need to heal him.
Oh, yeah.
I don't need to.
It's actually poison too.
Right. Everything poisons in this game, which is really weird. Anything can poison.
Yeah. It's so much poison. It only does 10 damage or something like that when you have 2,000. Rip.
Didn't have enough turns to heal him. It's actually not a big deal.
Yeah.
He doesn't need any stats anymore. And the weird thing about this game is you actually get experience for the enemies that they were alive for when he was alive. So he'll get experience from that first branch if I don't revive him. I'm just going to go ahead and pick him up because why not?
Yeah, just make sure he gets
He's already a little underleveled. Yeah.
Yeah, we might need him for
lane 2?
second to last fight, yeah.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Sorry, I'm the worst.
But, yeah. This is the last stretch, so we're going to be trying to do our best to clear this out as quickly as possible. And just for marathon safety, we brought up Edward. Make sure he gets the experience for the upcoming fights.
Yep.
Yeah, not really much else to say about the vines, except we're just going to be blasting with our fires.
Yeah, we're blasting them, and we're getting close to the end of the run, as we mentioned. So as far as the story goes, we've covered pretty much everything. We're going to be running into the final boss, and we're not going to have a ton of time necessarily to talk. I guess we might in the fight, but her body is not what we want, or what she wants, or what Patrick wanted, or any of the above.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to deal with this demonic plant presence that's been taking over. And she's going to come at us in a couple different forms. The one interesting thing about this game is it actually has 3 different endings.
Yeah.
There's the ending that you get if you just don't have the item that we mentioned earlier, and you just game over. That's technically an ending, but it's not the one that we accept in
yeah, you don't get
speedruns?
Credits either. You just get a game over.
Yeah,
which
it's a game over,
yeah.
so it's not really an ending. It does count as the bad ending, though.
Yeah.
We're actually going to go for what is canonically the bad ending, though. It's
Yeah,
faster, but more importantly, it's the one that carries over to Shadow Hearts. I think that's
Yep.
more important.
Yep, even though it's a bad ending, somewhat similar to the Drakengard Nier franchise, as everybody's familiar with that.
Yes.
Yeah, the bad ending continues on to Shadow Hearts 1.
Yes.
Because the
And
true
Shadow Hearts
ending of
1
this game
and
doesn't go anywhere.
yeah, Shadow Hearts 1 and 2. Shadow Hearts 1 specifically has 2 different endings. And again, the bad ending is canonical for Shadow Hearts 2. The endings in Shadow Hearts 2 do a great job of making the good ending in Shadow Hearts 1 also make sense. So the way that they handled these games is actually really impressive, their storytelling. Unfortunately, there's no tie back to the good ending of this game in Shadow Hearts. It's only a few references to the bad ending. We'll talk about that once we get to the credits. So actually, these vines, you might notice there's a cute little guy
There's a little
being
guy there.
hugged by... I forgot to reload.
shoot,
Being
yeah,
hugged
don't
by
worry.
a branch. That's okay. That's Patrick. He has come back to life himself, but he's kind of a branch. We've all had those days.
Yep, old Polar Patrick. He brought back his loved one, but now he is a tree.
Been there.
Been
Yeah,
there,
he kind of gets
been
the
there.
short stick in this one. He gets talked about a lot, and once you finally get the chance to see him and interact with him, he's just a tree. He's got nice pants though.
Yeah, look at that. just wiggling. He's like in a commander's chair almost, commanding this vine.
I can think of a worse way to go. This fight is going a little wonky because I forgot to reload, but it's actually not too big of a deal.
Yeah. And if
We'll
they
just
group
take an
up,
extra
we can
turn.
get the double flare. But
They won't. Oh, actually, we can't because you can't deal damage to Patrick until the vine up front is dead. Kind
Oh,
of
that's
similar to the
right,
fight
yeah.
with the boxes earlier. You have to kill the
That's
front
right.
vine.
forgot about that.
Everything will just miss. Edward's got plenty of health, so he's going to survive. Patrick has the most health of any boss we've seen so far, just under 10,000. And he likes to run up and slap Edward and then run away. So we're going to watch Edward's health
Slap and
just a
run.
little bit here. At this point in the run, you're probably sick of this one song you've heard a lot. There's also a different song for the random encounters. Good news is, the third song is coming up on the next boss fight. So if you
Wow.
like video games with more than 2 songs, this is the game for you.
This game has more than 2 songs? Oh my goodness.
More than 2 songs. Can you believe it?
Yeah, this song is really great though. Unfortunately, we don't get the random encounter full theme, which I think is great because there's like a little breakdown
There's a
part
great
of it, and it's
breakdown, yeah.
wonderful. But
Yeah, if you speedrun this game for more than a week, you will be humming this tune in the shower all the time.
also, if we have any donation readings,
Yeah, it's a great time.
Well, I do have a fantastic update. With this $30 donation from our friend Mock Heroic, we have officially passed $8,000.
Let's go.
And that
All right,
$30
nice.
donation simply says, Duck Truck.
Duck truck.
oh yeah,
Let's do it.
duck truck.
They also put their donation towards the Duck Truck naming incentive. Let's go.
I appreciate
All
that.
right. Nice. GG's everyone for the 8K.
Let's keep it coming. There's a lot of great games coming up. I'm really looking forward to this marathon, and I thank everyone for including me as the first remote runner. It's been great to be here, and I'm very happy to showcase this game for everyone who probably... It's kind of a hidden gem. I can't imagine many people have played this one, which is fantastic, but it should be played.
Yeah, it's a great game.
Okay, doing a quick stat
Do
check. I need to
some-
be at a very specific agility on Koudelka just to make sure everything goes smoothly on the next couple fights.
Yeah, because the next fight is the boss is extremely fast. Like they will outspeed you
Everyone.
immediately, and
I
it
think
just
I
goes
think
south
she
super
has
fast.
65 agility, so you need
Yeah.
66. Is essentially what's going on. We're coming up to our last little safety save, and this is the part of the run where you don't have the pendant. You forgot to get it. Someone said it's on these rafters here somewhere. I've never seen
Somewhere?
it.
I'm not
but-
sure. I'm not
I don't
sure
know.
where.
Alright, let's just pick up the pendant and not have to worry about it. It's a great cutscene for the bad ending. Unfortunately, we won't be showing it. It's a little graphic too, so we'll just
Yeah,
skip
it's
that. But
it's extremely graphic. Like it is.
I shouldn't say it's a little graphic. It's extremely graphic.
I would say it's extremely graphic. Yeah, like it would probably be rated R, like if it was a movie or something.
Yeah,
Because
it'll get a chuckle from everyone.
Pretty bad. Like
So right now we have reached the heart of the
grotesque
plant,
scenes.
and we are going to be seeing a character come out of it, and it's actually Elaine. We're going to skip the cutscene, of course, but she tries to attack us, but Koudelka's pendant that she got from her mother blocks it. Some of her magic powers have saved her the day. So we're just trying to run away from this awful, awful demon. And you'll notice the text here that we're about to get. Elaine caught up with you. She's just chasing us.
Elaine. Yeah. So we
her
found
body's
the
a
body
little
of
disfigured.
Elaine.
Her legs don't bend the right way. Yeah, she's not doing all that well.
Yeah.
So since we actually have exactly 66 agility, we can go first and cast the Reflect on ourselves. James is not that fast, so he will be eating a spell. But Reflect in this game is very strange and is kind of tied to your own stats, not theirs.
Mm-hmm.
So this will actually do an insane amount of damage to her. She'll do an AoE gas spell that hits everybody. They'll both survive.
So something to bring up for this first fight is that she is immune to physical damage. So Edward's crossbow we're not going to be using. We're just going to be using
Making sure he's loaded. Yep.
I'm using Koudelka.
I'm
to
using
spam
Koudelka
spells.
and James a little bit, but mostly the Reflect is going to be doing the majority of the damage. She has about 12,000 HP, which is hard for me to do. You'll see Koudelka do around 1,200. It would be a very long fight. Actually, she might do like 1,800. Let's see. Yeah, a little bit closer to 1,800. So it would be a very long fight if it was just Koudelka. James will do about 1,000. And we can't get by on just casting spells. Reflect wears off, and she'll start doing some nasty stuff if we wait too long.
Yeah.
So we need to get this fight over with.
Yeah, as you mentioned before, the Reflect does a lot of the heavy lifting because she just ends up hurting herself,
Yeah.
and sometimes she gets poisoned, which is funny because it doesn't really do as much. But
So those yellow
Yeah,
numbers are actually the damage reflected onto her. So that did about 4,000 damage on that Reflect. The first one did about 2,500, so that's 6,500 of her 12,000 health. Just gone like that.
Yep.
And she should be... I didn't calculate that last attack. This might kill her. She might be one more spell away. Let's hope this kills her.
It's just over 1,000, I think, from James.
Copy that. Oops, I don't know. Something happened with my calculator, but I think this will kill her here. She's just wiggling. Not too concerned. She's just jamming out to this third song. If you pay attention, it's the third song in the game.
Yep, we get to hear it one more time.
Yep, we'll be a little more quiet on this one so you can hear that third song. That's Elaine 1.
Gotta cherish it. Yep. Gonna run away from her.
Continues. Yeah, keep running. We have to make sure to heal here because we take that initial hit of damage. Koudelka doesn't, but Edward and James just kind of eat it, but they have just enough stats and just enough health to survive. And we'll
do you
go
need to
further
reload
up.
as well?
I reloaded on the previous fight, but thank you.
Okay.
I made sure of that.
Yep.
So, as Rome said, last fight she was immune to physical damage. This fight she takes half elemental damage, but is susceptible to physical damage, so we'll be shooting her a lot.
Yep. Yeah, she has 2 of the elements, and then she heals the other 2, so magic's a little less effective, but yeah, we're going to be using the crossbow as more in this version of Elaine. And again, it's just one of those trial and error things in Koudelka. It's like, so the spell I used the last fight
Just doesn't work anymore. Other than that, it's the same exact fight, which is very strange. She does the same attack pattern, it's the same reflect thing. We'll just keep plowing away. And just to note, we are coming up on time. We got about 2 minutes left for the run. 2 or 3 minutes left before the run is over. I'd love to show the credits. It's a 3-minute scene. And we can talk a bit more after that, but that's about it for this game. 972. So she is immune or absorbs flare, so we're just going to use water instead, which does about half the damage. But it's not nothing. So this fight can be a little bit slower, but for the most part, it is entirely safe. He is reflected, right? Yes, he is. Okay, I'm just going to skip his turn.
Did that crossbow just quack? No, that was a lane.
That was a lane.
Damage. Yeah, just going.
Yeah, if you do physical attacks on the enemies, they squeal a little bit.
Yeah.
You'll get to hear that again in a second.
Also, I do want to bring up another content warning. If you're watching this at work for some reason, there is a bit of Barbie doll nudity coming up for the character. Not sure if that flies where you're watching.
Yep.
But
It'll come up after the last fight is over during the credits cutscene. It's, as Rome said, it's a Barbie doll level. It's not super graphic, but it's probably not something you want your boss walking by and seeing. So, just keep that in mind, please. She's still going, huh?
Yep, she's scurrying.
One more
Did you
hit.
point out once that she tends to move when she's low on health for some reason? Like she tends to
Yeah, a
back
lot
up
of the
little bit?
enemies in this game leave at low health. They tend to run away. So that's usually a good indication. I don't know if there's a percentage range or, you know, what's the trigger, but she's at very low health. According to my math, she's got about 150 health left, which is just enough to be annoying. This should kill her. And down she goes. So we're coming into the last boss, which, if you're doing the all bosses category, you gotta do a lot of grinding to be able to get your stats high enough to deal enough damage. But
This
like we
boss
mentioned,
is a pain.
it's a pain, but we mentioned we're going for the bad ending. That's actually the canonical ending. It's the easier one. So we're just gonna do the alternate strategy. Instead of like farming a bunch of health and a bunch of stats and getting better weapons and grinding out higher spells, we're just gonna, you know, just hang out for a second and just look away and pretend that we're, you know, we're all good. And she can actually do a couple different spells. We want the AoE spell, which kills everyone in one hit. And she is doing it for us, which is super nice. The
Hey,
time is coming
alright.
up, and you see the damage on James. 3, 2, 1, time. And that is Koudelka.
GG.
So we'll watch this cutscene real quick. It's fantastic. You get to taste the voice acting and CGI for early PlayStation.
God, is this my fault? Do you blame me? Are you punishing me now because the path to my faith was tainted? I accept my fate. If it is your wish, then I accept my fate. He who has an ear, let him hear. If anyone is to go into captivity he will go. If anyone is to be killed with the sword he will be killed. I am what I am. I am content with my lot. I have always loved you, Elaine.
Here comes the slight nudity, FYI.
Yep. Whoa.
Whoa, she's a person under there. And we're clean.
Let's go.
Yep, all clear.
So we
Tab
end up,
back in.
yeah, we end up learning that James was actually a childhood friend of Patrick and Elaine. He was in love with Elaine as well, but she chose Patrick, and that caused James to leave and join the clergy. And he heard some rumors about what was going on in this temple, or in this mansion, so he wanted to come back and solve some problems for himself and hopefully win Elaine back. But we ended up kind of confronting her and professing our love, and some holy divine intervention happens and kind of saves us. James gets a little disappeared in the process.
just kinda-
we'll let the cutscene
just
finish out.
kinda-
We'll kind of wrap up the story a little bit.
Yeah, just kind of floats up into the sky with the lane.
Push themselves too much.
And that's
So that's Roger Bacon. I know he looks very awful in this game, but he looks much better in Shadow Hearts. Much less ghoulish.
Oh yes. And also one of the best CGI horses coming up.
Oh yeah. If you like CGI horses, this is the game for you. Absolutely perfect movement. That's how horses move. Don't worry.
Goodbye. We'll probably never see
I like
each
how
other
it trots
again.
away.
Hey, your nickname. Slato? What does it mean? I haven't even asked you yet. Will you tell me?
It means treasure.
Oh, that's rich. I'll
Please pay
remember
attention to the
that.
horse. It's
Treasure.
very important. And there it goes.
It's
so
okay,
good.
child, for you not to follow
I love
him.
that horse.
Yeah,
It's great.
it's okay. I have a feeling that someday.
Yeah, a lot of the budget went into mocap for the humans, not so much for the
Yes, not so much for the
horses.
horses. No. So this game takes place about 15 years before Shadow Hearts, and you actually do come back here in Shadow Hearts. You can see the gravestone for James. It's not really clear what happened to him. We think he just got disappeared. And Koudelka is a character in Shadow Hearts. If you want more, play those games. They're fantastic.
Yep.
Can't recommend them enough.
Yeah, good spooky times too. So if you like those Halloween horror games, this series is worth checking out.
This is the time for it. With that, anything else that we can go through? Anything else we can pass over to you guys at RPG Limit Break?
Anybody you potentially want to thank? Any runs you'd like to shout out later in the marathon?
Yeah, definitely want to thank Rome, who was a very great help in getting me up and running in this run. We had to build it from the ground up a little bit. There was a community for this game that has dwindled, and they were French, and English was their second language, so there's a bit of a communication issue between the groups. They were extremely helpful in getting me started, but there was still a lot to learn about this, so Rome really was my support in getting this up and running. So massive shout outs to him.
It was a lot of fun.
It's great fun to do. One of my most looking forward to upcoming games is Helix by my friend RJ Smangit. I think it's on Thursday. Check that one
Helix
out if
2.
you like crazy games. That is one of the craziest, and I'm looking forward to that one so much. Everything
shout out
else,
to
you
RJ.
can't go wrong. I'll be watching all week long, and I hope you will be too. Rome, anyone else you want to shout out?
I'm gonna shout one out for you, but that's Quest 64.
Yes.
A run coming up is gonna be another one to keep an eye on.
Huge
too.
fan. Unironically, a huge fan of Quest 64. I love that game. I would speedrun it if it wasn't perfected by the runners at this point. That's a fantastic game, and more great tunes.
Yeah. Thanks for RPG Limit Break and Rev for having me on here. Love chat about Koudelka.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us. It's been a real pleasure to show this game to a new audience.
Yep, still here. Sorry, I thought I was going to be thrown into my own room. All right, let's give another hand for Reverv and his run of Koudelka Any Percent, as well as Roaming Merc providing fantastic commentary for this whole adventure. I'll be seeing you all later on in the marathon to host for Xenoblade Chronicles X, but for now I'll be handing the host mic off to the one and only Tiny Tim 78 just after this break. Stay fresh, gamers.
Hello there, folks. Welcome back to RPG Limit Break 2022. My name is Tiny Tim78, and I have the pleasure, the honour, and the privilege of being here for this next run. It is going to be the fantastic Mario and Luigi Dream Team with Tonkotsu. I cannot wait. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. But while we're waiting for that to be set up, let's just have a little word about why we are here. RPG Limit Break 2022 is coming to you from Salt Lake City, Utah. We are raising money for NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, which was formed in 1979 as a grassroots advocacy organisation by a group of parents whose children suffered with serious mental illnesses. And NAMI has maintained that focus to this day. We have currently we're on the first day still here, folks. We have raised an amazing $8,005 for NAMI so far. And that's absolutely incredible. I mean, it really, really is fantastic. Every donation, no matter how small, is incredibly important. NAMI is a very important cause to me personally and to a lot of people who are helping with this event. And just being here and able to support such an amazing cause is fantastic. So we hope you enjoy the amazing runs that we have coming up for you. As I say, Mario and Luigi Dream Team, any percent is coming up very shortly, and it's going to be absolutely fantastic. But before that, what I'd like to do is just go over some of the incentives you can donate towards, some of the options you have. If you do decide to donate towards NAMI, you can put your incentive towards one of our bid wars or incentive goals. Now, we do have a few coming up. We don't have any for this particular run, but once this run is finished, you have the option of naming the hero for the Shining Force CD run. And we currently have $75 towards Bowie, $25 for Shermack, $10 for Duck Truck. So if you would like your own name, or a name of your choice, to be the hero's name for the Shining Force CD run, which is coming up after this run, then please get your donations in. We then also, on the on the subject of Duck Truck, we have the Secret Enemy Duck Truck incentive for SteamWorld Quest Hand of Gilgamesh, which is coming up at the run after Shining Force, and it's a incentive goal of $500, and we've currently got $155 towards that. Obviously a few hours to go because we have this run and Shining Force, but it would be nice. Is it possible to get that goal before the end of this run? Who knows? It would be really, really fantastic. So please get your donations in. Okay. So I am going to leave you just now for a few minutes while we are getting set up. Please enjoy the fantastic music and keep those donations coming in towards NAMI. We'll be back very shortly with Mario and Luigi Dream Team. Don't go anywhere. Hello. Hello there, folks. Welcome back. You're watching RPG Limit Break 2022, benefiting Nami. We are now ready for our next run. I hope we're ready for this. This is going to be absolutely fantastic. We have Tonkotsu running Mario and Luigi Dream Team any %. Take it away.